Okay.
Welcome to Tony at 12. I'm Tony LeBlanc, and today I'm in conversation with Nicky Burland, newly appointed Alderney Development Officer for the Association of Guernsey Charities. Congratulations!
Thank you so much, Tony. Um, I'm really pleased to be in a position to assist the charities and the third sector that does exist on Alderney. I think there's been a need and there's been a bit of a hole. So I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to act as a hub and a source of information for the people here.
We often hear about the third sector, and it's obviously very, very important, particularly as far as small communities are concerned. And quite honestly, Alderney without volunteers, it would finish, wouldn't it? Almost.
I would agree with you. And I think this is why we need to start paying this sector more attention. I don't think that it's just a matter of all of us being involved and many people on the island freely giving of their time to assist in sports, in education, in healthcare, and even in industry and training. Our community is such that we've moved beyond a reliance and it's become more of the fabric of our society. I think it's important when people move to the island that they recognize that. That is part of the work that I want to try to do. Um, and I think we need to have more of a voice with the government because I think there's a very real economic value
Yeah.
that's given to Alderney by its third sector. And I think that goes unrecognised. And I think more support should be available to assist people to do the good work that they do.
Well, it's obvious, isn't it? You know, it doesn't cost much to put a few bob into something to promote it. It's, you know, in my view, it's absolutely essential. Nicky, do you have a fear that the next generation are going to have problems being volunteers because they're all pretty hard pressed cash wise? Some of them have to do two jobs, etc., etc. And you obviously got to make plans, haven't we, to make sure it doesn't fizzle out when my lot pop it.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a very real problem. And I think it begins from both ends of the demographic spectrum,
Yeah,
really.
yeah,
I think we should involve the children and our younger generation a lot more in the volunteer activities that exist on the island. I think there should be a way that they can be rewarded for their efforts
mm,
in joining in that community endeavour. I think there should be um, maybe something introduced by the government that's it's a bit like the old-fashioned scout badges, but
yes,
like a community service badge,
yeah.
a community service certificate, something that's recognizable, that shows organizations and other communities when our children leave the amount of effort that they've put into the community here. So if we can start maybe that kind of a program at that end, but at the other end as well, one of the things we try to endeavour to do in Alderney is to attract more people to come and live here.
Yeah.
We know we want to try and get our demographic numbers up. Alderney, in its very nature, appeals to people who are ready to wind down. It's a peaceful life. In a lot of ways, it's a step back into the past. So I think when the new people are arriving on the island, something should be done to encourage them to partake in the community, to start giving of their time. If they're going to come and join us, then maybe there is something that they could do.
Yeah, I mean that's basically the payoff, isn't it, between our system here, which in my view is safe and secure. Crime is
Yeah,
very unusual, and people, generally speaking, behave themselves in a good and proper manner. And
yeah,
if you're coming in as a newcomer, it's not unreasonable to sort of say, well, help us on the museum, or do this, do that. and take it forward from there.
I think it could be a really good way as well for people who are new to the island
Yeah,
to find friends,
yeah.
to find their people, to find their tribe, to find their community. So I think it's something that we should try to encourage, definitely.
Where would this come from? The States, or a welcome letter from the States? Dear newcomer, pleased to see you. Have you considered this, this, and this? Or could you do it?
I think well, one of the things I want to try and encompass that within my role here. But again, the role of government is to govern. It's to
Yeah,
make sure that we've got a set of laws and a fabric around us that enables us to do well, and it enables us to function in a good society. That's what the government is actually for. And I think what we should, in fact, do is all of us, when new people arrive, it should be our voice that's heard.
mm,
It should be the voice of the ordinary people who live and who work here, who say to people, "Oh, have you thought about doing this?" It's
yeah,
it's it's about conversation.
yeah.
You know, the other thing as well that we've got to consider is there are, as you know, many charities and many clubs and societies on Alderney, all doing a wonderful job. It's whether or not they've got the space to take more volunteers. We definitely need, like you say, Tony, we definitely need some sort of succession plan in place now.
Yes,
We need to
absolutely.
start to think about that. So again, it's a communication issue. It's something that probably a lot of the charities aren't considering
Yeah.
because they're just, carrying on tickety boo. So that is definitely something that when I'm talking to people, I'm going to start to highlight.
But without naming names, there are certain organisations on the island that have relied exclusively on a key person to run them.
Yeah,
That key
yeah,
person's done a
absolutely.
super job, but once
Yeah,
again, mortality beckons. And, the succession within some of the organisations, I don't think has been sorted out as clearly as perhaps it should be.
I think you're right, Tony. And I think this is in part what the Guernsey Registry was trying to address when the charity law was brought into Alderney.
Yeah.
And, you know, the the option or the need to register with the Guernsey Registry. The endeavour there, what they're trying to do is they're trying to bring those bigger charities, those organisations that our community relies on, they're trying to teach them about good governance.
Mm.
Now, that already exists on a company level. We have Alderney Company Law
Yeah.
and we have our court that deals with that. But in the past, charities have never been considered in that way. But as a society, not just here, but in Guernsey and in the wider world, as our societies have become more and more reliant on charitable endeavours, on NPOs, there now needs to be some sort of training or information to make them aware of these pitfalls that companies and organisations that are already governed are already very aware of.
Yeah.
We need to talk about succession planning. We need to talk about how you manage your money. We come from a wonderful place where there's a great deal of trust on our island, and we all know each other. So as soon as, as soon as something happens and somebody steps out of line, there's a massive reputational issue.
Very
So
much
we
so.
self-govern, but because we self-govern in such a strong way, it means that smaller charities, smaller NPOs don't think of that bigger picture.
Mm.
And what I'm hoping to do in this role is to make them aware of that bigger picture and let them see that it's not onerous, it's not hard to start to think about these things. In fact, it's really easy. And in most places and in most charities, They're already doing it, but they just haven't written it down anywhere.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, that can potentially be a problem, can't it? At a
Yeah,
later stage, if, for example, money were to go missing or something like that, you need to have an audit trail, presumably.
you need to just be accountable for the money
Yeah,
that you're taking off
yeah,
people because you're taking donations from people. It's public funds. So there needs to be some sort of accountability for that, I think.
yeah, yeah.
But again, it doesn't, I say the word accountability and it sounds too strong. The language sounds too strong for the third sector that we're dealing with. They just need to be able to show what they've done. And
And,
that is relatively easy. It's really easy, actually. It's really easy.
and in your new role, you can give them coaching if they're members, yes?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, not just if they're members, Tony. I mean, I will encourage people possibly to become accredited or become members of the Association of Guernsey Charities. Of course I will. It's part of my role.
mm,
But the bigger endeavour is not necessarily to do that. My role is here to assist. I'm here to give information and help people to navigate the new regulatory environment that they're finding themselves in. I'm here to help integrate the charities together because even before I got this role and I was involved with the Chamber of Commerce, it became very apparent to me that a lot of the charities are suffering from the same problems. They've all got the same issues and nobody's really talking to each other.
mm.
So if we could get together and integrate more and find that each charity isn't so alone in the difficulties they're trying to overcome, that again will provide comfort and it will provide answers. Well, we've managed to handle that this way and we've managed to handle that way. And between us, we can offer support. So there's information, integration, and inclusion. And that's about involving the people who are not necessarily part of a charity, but have the expertise and have the skills.
Yeah.
It's including the younger generation, it's including the newcomers, it's bringing everyone together to tackle the same problem.
Now, you're funded effectively by the Lloyds Bank Foundation, which is very noble of them.
It
But
is very good.
whilst we're on the subject of banks, we do hear that it's quite difficult these days to open a bank account.
Yeah, it's
Can, can
something that
you
I've
can
addressed.
you assist on that, in terms of,
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can assist in any way I can with any problem that any of our charities or MPOs have.
yeah,
That's what I'm going to endeavour to do. Now, with regards to the banking issue, we've obviously been only left with one branch here. Now, whilst that might not be a problem for some of the third sector or some of the charities here, it's a definite problem for any charity that collects cash
yeah,
for their flag days and their jumble sales because they've got nowhere to deposit that cash until they open a bank account with the HSBC. Now, as in every other um, walk of life and the just sheer amount of red tape that we all need to exist anywhere in the
yeah,
current world.
quite.
It just seems to get more and more arduous to do the simplest of things. And of course, bank accounts have been caught up in that quite strongly and from a very early point when we did start to look at anti-money laundering and making sure that funds that are deposited with the big banks are legitimate for
Yeah,
legitimate reasons. Again, people who are trying to open a bank account are going to be faced with forms that they might not be familiar with questions and language that they're not familiar with. But I know I'm here to help them navigate those
yeah,
issues. And I know that so is the HSBC Bank here in Alderney. I know all the staff there are more than happy to help, but it can take time and you need to be patient because this is happening everywhere. And the banks have suddenly found themselves in a situation where they've got that much administration.
yeah.
It's, you know, so it's a case of being patient. It's a case of understanding what the bank are actually asking and not worrying about that. Come to me and we'll get it sorted out. It's actually an awful lot easier than you think.
Okay, because essentially in charity terms, you could either have a charitable trust, a charitable company, which is limited by guarantee, or an unincorporated charitable association. Do I take it that for a bank to open an account for the XYZ benevolent fund, they would want to see evidence of a trust deed and things like that?
I wouldn't think so. I think what you've got to do, it's a difficult decision when you first set up a charity as to which way you go
Yeah,
down. And there's a lot of things to consider about the nature of your charity, where the funding has come from, what you're going to be doing, how you're going to be giving funds away, if indeed you are. All of those questions lead you to make a decision as to what type of charity you're going to form. When you go to the bank, what the bank are going to be looking for is evidence of good governance
mm,
in whatever form, whatever legal form that takes. So, as long as you can justify the entity type that your charity exists within, the bank are going to be fine. They're looking for good governance when
yeah,
when they're asking you to apply for a bank account. They want to know that you know where your funds are coming from.
yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, that's, so what they'll do is they'll give you a form to fill in that will be couched in business language. And an awful lot of people who are trying to do good may not be aware of that world and may not be aware of what that language means. And then it's often the case that it's actually a lot simpler than you think. So again, please just come and talk to me. and, and I can help you navigate those kind of waters too.
Yeah, because it's obviously very, very important if you are setting up a charity, or even if you've got one at the moment where you want to switch bank account for for the convenience of HSBC being here and everybody else not being here.
Yeah.
It is important to try and get that sorted out, and presumably a new charity setting up from scratch. Um, you've got to form a committee, haven't you? You can't just have one person running the thing because obviously that's likely to not impress the bank in terms of embezzlement or something like that.
Well, if you actually sit down and think about it carefully, um, anyone setting up a charity needs to protect themselves.
Yeah,
They've got their own reputation to consider. So, at the very least, there should be two people who are answerable to each other.
yeah,
There should be two people who are going to count the money at the end of the jumble. There should be two people recognizing that that money's gone into the bank. Because having two people means that you're safeguarding each other, you're keeping each other protected. Then the next step is to say, well, should we write this down somewhere? And you write it down.
yeah.
And before you know it, you've got a finance policy.
A basic constitution.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Right, you write down what is it that we're trying to achieve?
yeah.
What is the aim of what we're trying to do? What good are we going to do for our little society here on Alderney? What is it we're trying to do? That's your constitution.
Yeah, and
You know, so I'd always recommend there should always be at least two people. If you're going to register with the Guernsey Registry, or if you're going to become a member of the Alderney, the Association of Guernsey Charities, you need to have at least two people. So you've got a chairman and a secretary, and this is where you go. It's getting wrapped up in these fancy words, and
is
it doesn't
there a
need to
li
be.
is there a liability to actually register with the Guernsey Registry on any charity? I mean, if you sort of take
No,
a raffle or something like that, or a meat draw, that
no,
would be
there
included.
isn't. There absolutely not. No,
No.
there are certain charities that must register with the Guernsey Registry, and it's compulsory.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's certain conditions that those charities must meet. So let me talk you through them very quickly. If you're going to take donations in any one year that are going to exceed £20,000, £20,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
So if you're going to take more than £20,000, then you have to register with the Guernsey Registry
Okay.
because because they want to know. that money, that £20,000 is being treated correctly. If you have assets of more than £100,000, you need to register with the Guernsey Registry. You need to register because £100,000 again is a lot of money. And when we were talking before earlier about how different charities are formed and where the funding comes from, there are some charities that will receive their funding from bequests in wills.
Yeah.
So it's not unreasonable to think that one charity could actually be gifted more than £100,000 by some very generous soul. So if you're in charge of that kind of money and you've got to make sure that that money is spent in the endeavour of your charity, then yes, you should be registered with the Guernsey Registry. If you have any international connections, so if you're taking funds from a big corporate company, you need to register. If you're giving funds out internationally because of money laundering issues, you need to register. So that brings us well into branches. So if you're a branch of a much larger charity, your branch may only have a tiny bit of income. But if you're a branch of a much larger charity that is in charge of a lot of money that could fund you, then again, you need to register. But anyone else doesn't. And that, if you can imagine in Alderney, there's only very few very big charities that are going to meet those requirements. They're going to take more than 20,000. They're going to have more than £100,000 worth of assets in the bank or in property. They're going to be dealing internationally and they're going to be a branch. That's only going to bring in a handful of Alderney charities because most of our endeavours are quite small.
So I guess one that would fall into that category would be the RNLI.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, because it's
absolutely.
a local charity, but reports to a bigger organisation on the mainland.
It's a branch. Yes.
Yeah. Understood. Yeah. Okay. Guernsey Gift Aid. This is this is where you get money back from the government.
I know. It's fabulous.
and obviously makes the deficit even larger.
But let's not talk about that, Tony.
No politics. No politics, Mrs. B. But tell us how gift aid actually works, please.
Gift aid is when it's recognised by the tax office that in order for someone to give £100 to charity, they would have had to earn 120. So the gift is actually 120. So what the tax is doing is they're giving you back the tax that you paid on your income before you gave it to charity. So in order to claim that, the donor has to fill in a form. Okay, the donation needs to be more than £500, and it can't be over £10,000 because there's a cap on how much tax you'll get back.
Okay.
Okay. So if you give more than 10,000, you'll only get tax back for 10,000. You won't get tax. You won't get it anymore.
Yeah. But it's okay. Sorry, keep going.
No, so it's for the charity themselves to take a look through their books and see if there's been a donation of more than £500. Then they need to approach the donor and ask them if they would consider applying for gift aid. If that's agreed, the forms are available to the charity to download. The donor fills in one and the charity fills in one, possibly two, if they're doing it for more than one donor.
Yeah.
The forms aren't arduous, they're really easy. It's just and then the tax office will give the charity the tax back that the original donor paid.
Okay. So there's no requirement to be registered at the tax office in the first place for gift aid?
No, there wouldn't be. No, because it's the donor it's the tax from the donor.
Yeah.
That's not the charity.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So so that means obviously that it applies to donations that are from Alderney or Guernsey residents, from people who live and pay tax in the Bailiwick.
Yeah. Okay. And do you think there'd be many opportunities for Alderney donors? Because a lot of the stuff's going to be less than £500, isn't that?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
But
is.
nevertheless, it's there.
It's there.
Yeah.
So it's a case of, again, it's awareness. It's making people, it's informing the charitable community here that this policy does exist.
Mm.
So if they are gifted more than £500, it's an avenue that they could explore. So
Yeah.
I think it is. It's definitely worth us being aware of it and telling people, especially in times like in Alderney Week, when not only are there quite a lot of donations made to the Alderney Week team, but when we do have a lot of visitors over, it's quite possible for our other charities to actually benefit from the tourist donation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's just making people aware of it so that they can check back and have a
Mm.
little look and see if they have had that gift.
So that's another thing on your promotions list.
It is. I've got a very long list of things to do. Well, if anyone, all the people that know me know I constantly go around with a very long list of things to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah. But more to the point, my experience, and we've known one another for 30 odd years. We
Yeah,
first met up doing an offshore administration course, didn't we? In
we did a long time ago.
96, I
Yeah,
think it was 97. And,
yeah.
I know that you might have a long list, but you very quickly get to the top of that list.
I try.
Yeah, you do.
I'll always do my best to try to
You do.
get through the list. I think it's a case of having your priorities right,
Okay.
and obviously, like I've always said, and always will say to anyone who asks me, family first.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Family first, clients second. So, yeah, Tony,
Okay.
definitely.
So if anyone wants to get in touch with you, how do they get in touch?
Okay, so I'd be grateful if you could actually type out so people can have a little look at this later on. I've got an email address for the Association of Guernsey Charities, and my email address is alderney at charity.org.gg.
Okay.
That's alderney at charity.org.gg.
I do a circulation list every week, and also with the interviews, I do a blurb. Okay, so I'll
Hmm.
include that in the blurb if
Thank you
that's
very much.
okay.
Could you also, yeah, absolutely. Could you give them my phone number too?
Yeah. Okay.
It's 07781
Yeah.
433 338.
Okay. And you'll be a
Okay,
good
and that's
lady.
a
And you'll be a
yeah,
good lady and drop me an email shortly just to confirm the phone number.
I will
Because
do.
I can't
And
write. The thing is, if I write down a phone number, I can't read it. My writing is so atrocious. But there we are. Anything else you want to say in summing up?
no, only that I'm here to help.
Yeah.
I know Guernsey Registry are over the tail end of this week on Thursday and Friday. I
Right.
will be I will be there with Lois.
Okay.
Again, to introduce myself to some of the charities and people who might not know me,
Yeah.
but also to assist Lois and people with their queries about the Guernsey Registry.
Okay.
Um, the data protection people are coming over, I think, towards the end of February. Again, I'll be there. So I'll make myself available.
Yeah.
And yeah, please, please, please call me and I'll do whatever I can to help.
Right. Well, as ever, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for sparing me some time today. And, I think we've put the Alderney charities on the map, don't you?
I hope so. I hope so, Tony. I hope we can do justice to the good work that an awful lot of people do here on the
Yeah.
island. Thank
Here,
you for
here.
giving me the opportunity.
Thanks, Nikki. Really appreciate it.
All right. Good
Bye
night.
for
Goodbye
now.
now. Bye
Bye.
bye.